You're listening to Bro Down Podcast all fucking day. Oh, yeah.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Bro Down Podcast. I'm Tim Fulton.
I'm Andy Smith.
And this is What Do You Got?
What do you got?
What Do You Got is a segment where we each come to the table with a different topic, bringing on the other guy because they don't know what it's about, and we chit-chat about it for a little while.
Yes, sir.
And this is Andy's turn, and we are going to be talking about shows versus movies.
Boom.
Boom, straight to the face. What do you mean? Which one's better?
No, I don't know what I mean, but I want to talk about it. No. So I was thinking about how when we were growing up,
Okay.
what were the shows that were out? You had comedy sitcom shows.
For the most, yeah.
There wasn't really any serious, not market. There wasn't a lot of serious drama shows or whatever that were of the same value as movies.
Okay, I can kind of see where you're going with this. So, like, these days we had Game of Thrones, which was kind of like every week we got a mini movie, basically.
Well,
but you didn't have the same caliber of serious show back
Hang
in the
on.
90s.
This is what I mean. Like, back in the day, you had, like, shows like Seinfeld or Cheers and all these shows that were basically comedies. They had a little bit of drama, but there weren't a lot of shows, at least ones that were really popular, a lot of them, that were, I guess, more like drama-esque shows that were of a similar caliber to what they were doing in movies.
Okay.
So if it was a serious drama, it'd be like Desperate Housewives.
So it was...
Or like, what's the soap opera shit?
I don't know, Days of Our Lives.
Yes, whatever, something like that. It was really like, okay, this is not good production value. The acting is dog shit, all that. So what I've noticed, though, is that since a couple of shows came out, I think it started to happen with, like, Sopranos was one of the first, like, drama ones to be like, holy shit. Because it was, up till then, none of those serious shows, first of all, didn't do a lot of seasons. And second of all, they didn't garner any, like, worldwide, like, holy fuck. But I've noticed that it's going to be very difficult for movies to basically kind of survive in this world of high production shows, because a show has even just one season, say 10 hours of footage. You have to get that movie out in 2.5 to 3 hours max.
Yeah.
So how do you have that much character development in a movie versus 10 episodes of a season of a show? If you have the, we're saying, like, if there's a story, if you're doing the same story, if you have enough material, you have to cut a lot out for a movie.
Yeah, it's very difficult. We talked about this a little bit last week. I feel like it's very difficult to get that kind of same depth in movies.
Yeah.
So either you're going to have multiple movies, which at that case, you're basically just having a TV show over the span of years. I'm looking at you, the MCU. They're basically TV shows at this point.
But that's what I mean. That movie genre, which is one of the biggest, like, look at the biggest movies that have come out in the last 10 years. A lot of them are comic book or movies that go in a sequence.
Yeah, exactly. People want that depth. They don't want just one and done.
Yeah. Some movies are good for that.
Yeah.
But
I kind of see your point, because, like,
I think it's hurting. Not hurting. I think I should say, excuse me, the fact that, like, Game of Thrones, all those, like, high-end shows came out with good production value, acting was phenomenal. I think it raised the bar so much that you can't just put together a movie and be lazy with the character development or anything like that, because it's like the movies used to make up for it by having high production value.
Yeah.
And having all these special effects. But now the shows are kind of getting it up there in par. So the movies can't rely on that anymore.
Specifically the HBOs of the world and the Showtime.
Yeah, the big ones. Netflix even now.
Yeah, Netflix is going to be changing the game completely, because they don't even have to put movies out in theaters anymore for them to have. And they're coming out, not great ones, but decent ones. Have you seen, there was a Christmas movie that came out just on Netflix. It was like called Claws or something like that. It won a shit ton of awards.
Yeah, I don't watch a ton of shows, but I've noticed that nobody is lining up to go to the movies with shit that isn't either remade or in a series like Star Wars, something like that. When's the last time, besides that movie The Irishman, which was a Netflix movie?
Yeah.
When is the last time a movie came out where you were like, "Oh, dude, fucking got to go see that"? It's not like it used to be when we were younger.
Yeah. No, you're right, because you want to see something that you're familiar with. We're just used to that these days. So if like a Marvel movie comes out, we're all gonna be like, "Oh fuck, another Marvel movie,"
Because you're invested in it.
You're invested in it.
Yeah.
But if they come out with something new and random, it's hard to get that same level of commitment.
Yeah. Well, it's almost like you're spoiled.
Yeah.
Because you're like, I need the character development. I want to be invested in a long-term show thing here. With a movie, like if you go to watch, like there's some movies that are just great standouts. Like all the movies that we love, for the most part, are great standouts. But nowadays, when they make a show, it's almost you can't even compare the two.
Well, going back to that, I think that there is still a place for both, right?
100%. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the tide has shifted.
Okay. Where movies were basically this
Movies were like the gold standard.
Okay.
And like drama shows or whatever were like a fucking like a side note. Whereas now, as far as like the people's view of it, like more people talk about shows they watch than movies they've seen.
That I agree with. See, I have a problem even discussing that because I never went to the movies. To this day, I
Okay.
don't. I go to the movies maybe twice a year.
Yeah.
Like, and that would be on the high side.
But did you go when you were younger a lot?
No, I never went to the movies like
Okay.
that.
But you bought DVDs and well, no, you don't fucking watch movies.
I don't watch movies. We've
So
been
you're
through
terrible at this.
I've seen a tenth, literally probably 1/10 of the movies you
Yeah.
have. And total watch time of movies is probably in the hundredths.
Yeah. See. Yeah, it's gonna be kind of. See, what I like about movies is they're great. Like one punch, like you watch it and you're like, dude, that was fucking amazing, and like they don't need to fuck it up by doing another one.
There are times when you don't want things to be stretched out. I know that there are comics of it, but one of the movies that I would never want to see be turned into a TV show would be something like V for Vendetta, right?
Exactly.
It's 2.5 hours, but in that 2.5 hours, they covered everything.
You get it.
You definitely get attached to the characters. You're emotionally invested, and by the end of it, you're like, that's done. If that was split up into 10 one-hour episodes, it would jump the shark. They would run out of things to talk about. I know it's a comic, so there might be more to it than that, but
No, I see what you're saying.
just based off the movies,
That's a good point.
my favorite thing in the world, and I've said this for years, and I wish that there were more of it, miniseries. I fucking love
That's like an
miniseries.
in-between.
Yeah.
It's like an in-between.
It's a one-season show, basically.
Yeah.
But I feel like they can get away with doing more things. And I've thought this for a while. Back when we were younger, TV shows were always afraid to kill people.
Yeah.
That has
You have a star.
Yeah, exactly. That's radically changed.
Yeah.
That's not the same thing with like The Walking Dead and
Game of Thrones changed that.
Game of Thrones, but even The Walking Dead did.
Game of Thrones season 1, they killed the most popular
Spoilers.
actor in that show.
Yeah, they did.
And that was nobody had done that.
Nobody had done that. So that has shifted. But when we were younger, everyone was too afraid to do stuff like that. But in miniseries, you could do whatever.
That's true.
You could do whatever you want, especially because a lot of these actors, they're contractual.
Yeah.
So like, who's gonna join a show as a big name actor for 2 episodes? They're gonna want to be the showrunner. So it was hard to get that kind of contract.
Oh, back in the day.
Back in the day. So miniseries kind of solved that problem. Where like this isn't a show. This is just like 10 episodes of what we want.
Yeah, I think
some really good ones.
I think it obviously depends on the story. So there's some stories where you watch a movie and you're like, there's too much going on.
They could have fleshed it out.
You needed time to stop and spread it out. It's just because there's certain things you got to watch. Action scenes. Action scenes have to be an X amount of time long. Otherwise, they're either too confusing, too quick, or you don't get the grasp of it. And then you have the conversation scenes where we've all seen movies where you're like, that seems like so rushed. Like, why'd they do that? But then it's like on the opposite end, you have when they make shows, either they're too long and drawn out. So basically, like if you're telling a story, we've all heard stories that went on too long that are great, but
Kinda
somebody
like this
just
one.
takes forever to tell them. And then we've all heard like known an epic story that someone has, and they give you the cliff notes, and you're like, you feel robbed. You're like, what? Come on, man! I've been hyping up this story. You fucking make me look like a jerk off here.
Tell it.
Like, tell the whole thing, you know. And then you got miniseries like right in the middle. I just think that it's cool. It also kind of ruins a lot of movies because I think a lot of shows they would have tried to have made like a 3-part movie or whatever. Like it's like I think something like Star Wars should have probably been in today's world better a show.
See, I don't know if I agree with that.
Just because
the original, we're talking the original trilogy.
No, I'm not talking about the original trilogy. I'm not talking the original trilogy. I'm talking about the new story of whatever they're doing. It's because Star Wars is so epic on a grand scale. You have to expect the battle scenes and then this and then that, and everything feels kind of jammed together and rushed nowadays.
Well, we can actually put this to the test relatively soon because I believe it's Amazon Prime is coming out with Lord of the Rings.
Well, they're coming out with Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, that too, but that's it's hard to compare. Not that it's hard to compare apples and oranges, right? They have the Mandalorian. Everyone loves the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
So, but you can say like, oh, the show's good, the movies are good, but it's hard to say like one's better than the other because they're the same category, but they're different. But when Lord of the Rings comes out, we can really look at it and be like, all right, what was better, the movie or the show?
Are they coming out with Lord of the Rings show that came out that is about the Lord of the Rings tale that we already saw? Or are they coming out with beforehand?
I believe so.
I
believe it's the actual Lord of the Rings story.
Oh, that's weird to me.
Why?
Because it was done very well the first time.
Yeah.
And you had a lot of actors in those movies that were like almost seemed perfect for the part.
They were.
That you can't. It's going to be really hard to digest.
But money.
It's going to be hard to digest unknowing the old characters. That's the problem when somebody kills it in a role.
Yeah.
You have a hard time not comparing the new person to what the old person perfected.
Yeah, but don't forget how old it is now. That was 20 years ago, dude.
Yeah, but a lot of it holds up.
Oh, it holds up fantastically.
You know what I mean? Like you watch that today and you're like, oh, some of the CGI is a little weird, but most of it's makeup.
Yeah, they didn't. There was not a lot of CGI in that.
No.
They used CGI in that correctly.
Yes.
With the exception of like flying eagles, which we don't have.
And
those.
the mass amounts of people. But for the.
Yeah. But like they would throw in CGI in spots and hide it.
Yes.
So like amplify the scene. It wasn't the entire scene.
The makeup in that movie series is some of the best I've ever seen because when you saw like the orcs and shit, you didn't think like, oh, that's a guy in a suit. You were like, that looks like a creepy little fuck that would exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were real.
Yeah.
They were 100% real.
Yeah. It was dope. I think it's how the story actually went in the books, but it's a little bit more drama-y than like action-y. And it's like a lot of like serious dialogue. There's not a lot of humor-ish in it. It's kind of like old-timey, lighthearted stuff, if it is.
That whole saga is bizarre in a weird way.
Exactly. And like today's market, they want like the Marvel type thing where it's like we got really funny people, we got really serious stuff, and we got action. It's not like this middle ground.
You can make an argument that that's what fucked up the whatchamacallit universe.
DC.
Yeah, the DC universe, because they basically tried to do the same exact thing and it didn't really work.
No, they went too dark.
You had like they were dark, but like you had Batman like shooting out jokes every now and then. And the whole thing just didn't feel right.
Yeah, they went too dark to the point where when you make a joke in the middle of like a really dark thing, it's like you gotta nail that 100% and make sure it's funny, or it's not. It's just awkward.
Yeah, the whole thing is awkward.
Any more thoughts?
No.
All right, cool, we're good. Oh, excuse me. This has been What Do You Got? Shows versus movies.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like and subscribe, Tim.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on your thoughts about today's episode. Hit the little bell to make sure you're getting all the correct notifications. Go to brodownpro.com. See our newest gear. We're coming out with some pretty cool shit soon.
Zip-ups, socks, and 3/4 shirts.
Yeah. It's all dope shit.
It's actually really cool.
It is really cool.
Socks are dope. Zip-ups are dope. 3/4 shirts. Sexy. Just saying.
We'll catch you guys next time.
You're listening to Bro Down Podcast all fucking day. Oh, yeah.